Hi everyone, it's Penny Black and Jill Foster here with a new PB&J card class. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some scenic stamping techniques. And here is a look at the card that we will be creating. But if you stay tuned to the very end of the video, I will be sharing some more cards and new stamps that I use these same techniques for. So if you're looking for some great scenic inspiration, then you are in the right place. So the stamps used on the card that we're creating today, this is from our new Dream and Discover release. This is 40-778 Picturesque, a beautiful set of mountains that you can use really for cards any time of the year for your scenic stamping. And this is an older stamp, but I feel like really goes well with the mountain scene. This is 40-714 Before the Snow, and since it's an evergreen, it could be in the summer or it could be in the winter. Now for a full supply list of everything that I'm using, stamps, inks, paint colors, everything, I will list that for you up on screen at the end of the video. So if you want to check it out in more detail, then you can just hit pause at that time. So to start off, I am stamping onto Bristol Smooth cardstock. This is a standard size A2 card, 4¼ by 5½ inches, using a stamp positioning tool, using the Misty stamp positioning tool, and Ranger archival inks. I wanted to use these inks. One, they capture the detail beautifully. There's awesome colors that you can use. And two, they are waterproof. So when I go to paint on top of this, they're not going to blend and bleed, and all of the detail of that gorgeous mountain scene is going to remain. Now I'm going to be doing my painting on this card using gouache paints. Gouache, my best way to describe it would be sort of like a mix between watercolor and acrylic. The more water you add to gouache paint, the more transparent it's going to be. If you add no water and it's right out of the tube, the more it's going to feel like an acrylic paint. And then there's this like magical middle zone of some water but not too much, where I feel like they give this like cloudy, soft look. So when I first tried gouache paints, I was like, I'm not sure about these, but man, the more I play with them, as it is with most types of paints and mediums, the more I am loving them. So you can see I put on first a very light layer of lighter green, and here I am going in with gouache that had a little less water, and you can still see those mountains there, but they have sort of a cloudy, soft look to them. I can go in and add shading with darker colors of the gouache paint right on top while it's still wet, and sort of add that soft, cloudy shading in there, and you start to see the dimension of the stamp really come to life. The stamp does all the work for you. It's just a matter of putting some lights and darks on there. Now I wanted this to be a summer or a springtime scene, so I went with green for these mountains. I wanted them to be just like a very lush green hill type mountains in the background. But these would be beautiful for winter cards, where you could do them in browns and grays and whites. You could do snow-capped peaks on them. There are so many different ways that you can use this mountain, this picturesque stamp set. Now, just a reminder, I'm working on Bristol Smooth cardstock. So this can handle some water, but not a ton. It's not the same as watercolor paper. So I don't want to put too much water as I'm painting on, or tons of water across this very large expanse, because the paper will start to curl on you. But I love using this type of paper with our scenic stamps because it beautifully captures the detail. Now I'm so sorry, I forgot to hit record when I added my first layer of yellow here, but I'm adding a second layer and it's the same process. So I'm just going in and painting that on, and then blending it out with more water as I move up towards the sky. Now you could do this with a blue sky. I'll show you here near the end of the video with a sunset. You can go right up to the edge of the mountain with your color, or leave a little bit of white there like I did. It's just a matter of playing around with that. Now I've grabbed that Before the Snow tree stamp, and I'm stamping it using my stamp positioning tool right on top where I want it to be in the scene. I'm using some different greens here and stamping it multiple times to build up the color, but I know you can still see those mountains kind of coming through the tree, which doesn't make any sense. But that's where, when we paint those wonderful gouache paints, the opacity that's included with those will take care of that for us, which I'll show you when we get to the painting. But I just want to have this as kind of as dark as I possibly can so that the detail of the stamp still shows through somewhat even when I put the gouache paints on top. So here I'm going to grab some of those paints, a light color. I put it on first, and then I'm going back in now and blending that with some water. It's starting to give that soft, cloudy look, but this is a very light color of green, so you're still seeing some of that background coming through. So now on top of that, I'm going in with a darker green, trying to kind of use the same motion with my paintbrush as those branches have. And now this is moving into the foreground of the scene. But it still has the beauty of that stamp design. I I cannot draw, and so for me, I love that I can do this, paint on top, and it just looks like I painted and drew this scene. It just gives that hand painted look. I think these would be beautiful even just in small frames. You could paint them to match, the colors of your decor and use them as decor pieces or give them as gifts. But they're also great for cards too. You can see I'm even mixing in some blue. Now if I want the paint to be more opaque, I'm going to use it right off my palette with less water, or even squeeze some right out of the tube and paint with that. And I'm just going to continue to layer up those colors, and this tree starts to look more three-dimensional as we go. And you don't have to do any masking to put it on top of the mountains that you've already stamped and painted. And I'm just continuing to play there. Now I added my sentiment. This is from our sentiment set, Destination Sentiments. These are really great sentiments to use with our scenic stamps. And I've just added this sentiment right up, sort of a tone-on-tone look up in the sky. I used my Misty Stamp Positioning tool again to stamp that, to repeatedly stamp it and darken up the color so it's a good match with the background. So there's a look at the finished card. Now I said I had lots of other ideas at the end of the video, so here we go. This uses the same techniques, the same stamps as the card we just made, only I did some different color choices. So I've used more of a blue-gray for the mountains and a sunset or a sunrise for the sky, which is so fun to do with the gouache paints, and the tree. Now here I used our new creative die Campers. I painted it with the gouache paint, so I cut it from the cardstock, the Bristol, and then painted it with the gouache paints, and you can see I've got my sky, my mountains. There I've given them kind of the snow-capped look. Even the ground, the whole background was done with those gouache paints and the scenic stamping. Now here's another new scenic stamp of ours. This is 40-751 Mountain Magic. I love those mountains way off in the distance. And so here again, exact same techniques as before, and painting over the top with the gouache paints to create this beautiful scene that is so easy to do. Another one of our new scenic stamps, part of our Dream and Discover collection, is Wander. And same thing here, stamped, painted over the top with the gouache. I could even add sort of a hint of the grasses and the flowers along the road there using the white gouache paint right out of the tube. This also looks pretty if instead of painting grass in that open area, you can have that be a lake in the background too. This is the last of our new scenic stamps. This is 40-748 Farmland. I love this set, so I decided to do it for all 4 seasons. So using the same techniques with the gouache paint, here is my version for summer. And oh, again, the beautiful gouache paints for the sky. So easy to paint the white over the top for clouds. Here is my version for fall with some of the golden colors in the fields and a little bit different color to the sky. I can usually can't keep myself from using turquoise as you can see here. Then I've also done winter, so added some grays and some blues over that farmland area and darkened up the sky and splattered some of the white gouache paint on for snow. And then finally, here is the spring version. So I've done some of my greens over the top and then grabbed my peaches and reds and pinks to add some, I guess it would be flowers or something growing there in the farm fields that adds a spring look. So I sure hope you enjoyed today's video and these techniques for scenic stamping. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. That helps us know that you like this content. Leave a comment and subscribe to our channel. And you can also connect with Penny Black on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, as well as Instagram, our website, and our blog. And I'll link all of those for you down below, including the stamps used in the description box below here on YouTube. And here's the supply list as promised. Happy stamping!